As the spring season of anime comes to a close, and 2020 is still exploding outside, leaving my house becomes more and more frightening. So with all this happening, I've been trying to find different ways to make better use of my time. So what better way to make use of that time than just sitting down and binging some degenerate Japanese cartoons? This season of anime provided us with some surprising sequels for either anime no one remembered or no one asked for, as well as some hidden bangers. From isekai about dating sims to super combative traditional Japanese clothing, spring came in clutch to curb your boredom. Now there's a lot of anime out right now, so I'm just going to talk about the ones that continue to pique my interest over the season. Now with the intro out of the way, let's get down to it. Now this one I've been most excited for since I heard it was announced, because I've been hooked on the manga ever since I saw the first season back in 2017. Tsukumo? It's still fun to say. Tsukumo is the second season to the titular anime Tsukumo. The story centers around main protagonist Kazuya as he tries to juggle the excitement of his everyday life while also being the town's exorcist, destroying amasogi who are filled with malison. For those who aren't experts on Japanese mythology and folklore, amasogi are objects filled with a person's desire that's also tampered with malintent. It's Kazuya's job to take care of them because it's kinda technically his fault they're there. You see, Kazuya is a cursed child, so he attracts malison, and because of that, people are susceptible to create amasogi through their intense desires. Luckily for Kazuya, he's not alone in his endeavors because he has this wonderful, ball-grabbing Tsukumo Kiriha by his side. Now, a Tsukumomo is a little bit different than an amasogi. A Tsukumomo is an object that gains a soul over time and becomes sentient. Now, Kiriha's true form is a Japanese cherry blossom obi. If you don't know what an obi is, it's one of those little belt things you see on yukatas during like a summer festival episode in an anime. Yeah, those things. Now, the second season in particular follows Kazuya learning more about his past, why exactly he can attract malison, and who his mother really is. Tsukumomo's got a lot of great action with some decent jokes sprinkled in, but if you're not into ecchi, this might not be for you because it's got a lot of risque parts, if you know what I mean. But if stuff like that ends up rustling your jimmies, both seasons are all on Crunchyroll, so you can take a look at it if you want. It's a good show, I personally recommend it. Now if you're looking for a show with comedy in the same vein of popular anime Konosuba, very likable characters, as well as llama waifus, then look no further than Princess Connect Redive. This show's a trip. Now, I'm not going to go too into depth for it because Kirby did an amazing video on the channel, which if you haven't watched it already, you guys are doing me a disservice. That man put a lot of work into it, so I suggest you go and watch it. But if you have watched it like the beautiful weebs I know you are, I'll keep it short. Essentially, it's about a group of lovable misfits that decide to make a gourmet guild and get into a whole bunch of shenanigans. These shenanigans include, but are not limited to, almost being eaten by wolves, fighting sentient mushrooms, or breaking people out of hospitals. There's also some beautiful fight scenes that honestly caught me off guard the first time I saw them. It's honestly a great show and a great palate cleanser, so I really recommend it if you're looking for something to just sit back, relax, and just laugh. If you want to hear more about it, I honestly suggest looking at Kirby's video on it on the channel. He does it a lot more justice than I do, trust me.
No! What are you waiting for? Do it!
Now, with all the shameless plugs out of the way, let's talk about arguably my favorite anime this season. Now, you've seen isekai before. You've also probably seen it in a game. But have you seen an isekai about an otome game that's also a reverse harem? My Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Death is freaking fantastic. It's about a girl that gets truck-cooned into her favorite otome game, but instead of being the main lead of the game, she plays the role of the villain. So of course, being in the role of the villain, she's destined to meet her doom. So she spends all of her time avoiding all of her doom flags, while also incidentally making friends with every route in the game. It's so refreshing to see a harem, a reverse harem no less, not have to rely on the ecchi trope to keep you interested or get cheap laughs out of you. It has great world building, an amazing story, good comedy, and it's just overall a fun anime to watch. Also, it's not every day that I find a harem plot that I actually care about, where I can't choose a route either. I honestly think this anime deserves a spotlight, and I want to talk more about it in a later video, so stay tuned for that one. But I highly recommend you watch this one. You will not be disappointed. The last one on the list, while not being my favorite this season, has occupied the last month of my life, catching up in between everything else I do. Tower of God. The anime that took the world by storm has been one of the only anime that got me to read its source material from the first episode. Now, I briefly talked about this in a previous video on the channel, so that's where my initial thoughts are. But for those who haven't watched that video, essentially it's about a boy named the 25th Bam, which is still a really weird name to me, who climbs the tower to find his only friend Rachel. On his journey, he ends up gaining some new friends, some new experiences, and also gets entangled in the mystery surrounding the tower. Now, Tower of God definitely takes its world building very seriously, making sure that every point is covered, as well as introducing compelling characters that will become very important later on in the series. Now, I want you to believe me when I tell you that if this story gets a second season, and I'm pretty sure it's going to get a second season, things are going to get completely nuts from here on. So I can't wait until the later arcs finally get adapted into the anime, because that's where the real hype begins. So those are the anime I've been watching this season. There's obviously more, both good and bad, but I wanted to focus on the positive ones today. We could all use a little bit of positivity right now. Now, if you want me to talk about some of the bad ones, I'll gladly do it in a heartbeat, but you guys can let me know if you want to hear that down below in the comment section. Anyway, that's it for the video, but before you guys click off, I want to know, what was your top anime this season? What were some of the bad ones? Let us know down below. And of course, if you like this type of content, feel free to drop us a like. And if you're feeling extremely frisky, go ahead and drop us a sub. But of course, I've been Gizmo. This is WeebNClean. Remember to stay clean, and I'll catch you next time.